Hello, everybody. Hello, hello. Happy Monday. I hope you had a great Thanksgiving. I sure did. We had a nice, quiet Thanksgiving at home. I got to see my daughter who's in college and spend wonderful time with her and my son as my two other children were at a sporting event with my husband. So I hope you have leftover turkey and it's almost all gone. So I'm thinking of students, high school students, and upcoming final exams. And I'm thinking of how many, especially freshmen, who want to do really well and they just haven't figured it out yet. Or even sophomores and juniors who realize this is when I really need to step in to getting an A in English class or doing the best that I can. But I've never really learned these study skills. So time is of the essence, but students, time is on your side right now. And so I wanted to give you some tips to walk away with. And I know that this is broadcast to Facebook, my YouTube channel, and my LinkedIn. And I'm pretty well aware of the fact that most most students are not on those channels. I'm yet to venture into going live or doing a video on TikTok, which is where I know they live. But parents, if you're watching this, please say hello. Please leave a comment, and I am happy to get back to you, answer any questions. But let's go over 7 quick tips so that your son or daughter can sail into final exams and wrap this school year up in not just the most productive way possible, but with really getting the best grades that they are capable of. I know a lot of parents have confided in me that they're just not sure if their son or daughters are really pushing themselves to, the fullest extent. And I actually had one freshman, not my own, one freshman in high school over the Thanksgiving break say, you know what, Mrs. Haskell, I really want to try hard. I really want to do as well as I can. I know it's so important freshman year to try to get the best grades I can. And I also know that this freshman is a really hard worker and said that she just doesn't know exactly how to approach like an end of the year project, final exams, or like the written portion of of an English class essay. So what I wanted to do is share with you some tips so that you can help your son or daughter. So the first one is really to help them get organized. I know this is something I struggle with myself, but I think the most simple, effective way is to do this. To either get, a notebook or open up a Google Doc or a Microsoft Word doc and just dump everything from your brain, all of the assignments you have to do, students, just get it all out, even little things like a makeup quiz or a homework assignment, other than just the big looming final exams. So get everything out of your brain. And then it's simple, right? It really is. It's looking at your calendar and literally plugging in when you're going to do these tasks. I am trying to stick to this myself, but this was something that a very wise old educator shared with me a long time ago and said, Amy, it's simple. Just make your list and then plug it into, of course, at the time it was my Chandler's assignment notebook. Remember those? I loved my Chandler's assignment notebook. But even I know some kids are using their Gmail calendars and to write in when they're going to do the work. And so, planning ahead is my first tip, like really writing or typing, not just thinking about it, but having a plan. Let's see your plan. Right? I could say this to all 4 of my own children right now. Let's see your study plan. And I'm telling you, once they get it out of their brains and put it on paper, put it in their ding, 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 electric calendar, I think they feel a lot less stressed. They feel a lot better organized. So number 2 is this. It's, okay, what are you doing every day to move closer to checking these things off your list? Again, what are you doing every day to move closer to checking these things off your list? With some time over the Thanksgiving break to reflect, especially with some of my family members out of town, I just had some space to think. And with so many college essay students done, I have a lot more free time right now. And I was really able to, I'm so interested in our habits. And have you heard that where we are in life, whether it's with our physical well being, mental well being, relationships, so much or jobs of where we are is actually a result of our habits. So I'm really fascinated by habits. And that's why I love working with teenagers so much, is because they're not little kids, although I love little kids, and they're not like our age. So I think stepping into and creating habits now, pays dividends, lifetime rewards. So think of some positive things that you parents do now that perhaps are a result of awesome teams you were on when you were younger, or an effective teacher, effective parents, or even something you read about, right? And that you're doing this now. So what are you doing every day? So number one, create your calendar. Number two, what kind of system can you create so that you're checking things off every day so that you move closer to that final English class project or final exams, or what was the other thing? Oh, a final essay, of course. Okay, so number three, it's this: every day in class, active note taking. That's right. Writing things down. Like, where's the pencil? Like, I love this pencil. Have you seen this? Is a certain kind of pencil. It's a Blackwing 602. Like, I absolutely love writing things down. And I think students stay better engaged. They focus more when they are, when they're employing the lost art of handwriting. And even if they don't know how to handwrite, because I know a lot of them don't, using those fine motor skills, as is connected to our brains. So actively taking notes in class is number three. And I'm even going to add to that, actively taking notes when they're doing homework. I mean, how many of you parents, when you're doing a task, right, whether it's writing out your grocery list or your to-do list or your holiday shopping list, think of other things? Well, I know I try to, always have some notes around so I can capture those. Okay, so the fourth tip is, this is tricky. This is a trickier one. It's engaging in critical thinking. And parents, this is where I think you can help, right? Constantly asking not yes or no questions. Like, well, how do you think that student got into so much trouble? Or what are the most effective steps, do you think, to finish that project? Or have you, what are the reasons that you think that will work out so well? So engaging in critical thinking. And then, there's actually a lot I think I'm going to put on hold as far as studying for final exams. I think we're a little bit early for that, but I think that I know students are starting to put a lot of pressure on them. Now, I know some of the high schools, they don't have final exams until after the holidays, but I still think it's right around the corner. I still think there are healthy habits, parents, that your students can start to employ now that they just haven't yet this semester, but now it's time. It's time to really start to kick it in. So I don't know how many of you out there are runners, or endurance athletes. Well, I had a really long run today, and I was trying so hard to kick it in when I just had, a mile left. And that's what I want your students to gear up to, even if they're not necessarily kicking it in at this moment. So let's talk a little bit about essays. So we're not talking about college essays. These are about, high school essays right now. So here are my final tips for how to get an A in your English class essay. I think this is super important. Number one, make sure you understand the assignment. There is a big assignment due, well, there are a couple of them based on, different tutoring students we have, one that's due late tonight and one that's due later on this week. And at Total Writing, we have a few students who don't understand the assignment. Okay. Number two, understand the literature that the assignment's based off of. Let me say that again. Understand the literature or the article that the essay assignment is based off of. So a lot of times I'll get a phone call, or I'm out at, a parent event, and parents will say, "Oh, Amy, you do writing tutoring. My son needs, he needs writing help. He hasn't learned the fundamentals of writing." Okay. So my question always to the parent is it the writing help, which it usually is, or first and foremost, is it the reading help? Is it really understanding, a more profound, a more abstract, a more meaningful comprehension of whatever it is the student is studying in class, because how in the world can they write about what they don't understand? Let me repeat that. How can the students write about, you know, some of these challenging classical works, right? These guys are scrolling all the time. Are they really actively engaged with the reading? Could they say to you, hey, mom, this is what I think the author's purpose was in writing this book. This was J.D. Salinger's purpose, to help teens better understand depression. This was the blind poet Homer's purpose in explaining Odysseus's, journey home after the Trojan War. This is what Shakespeare intended, right? This is what Toni Morrison wanted to convey to her readers after reading The Bluest Eye. So is your son or daughter able to thoroughly explain the novel? Because that oftentimes I'm finding that so much more than ever before. It's the reading when it comes to these lit analysis essays. Not all the time. Of course, not all the time. I know some of you watching this or watching this on the replay, and if you are, please say hello. Please leave a comment. Please ask me a question. I know a lot of you have, kids, teens who are excellent readers, and they truly, it is, they need help getting those thoughts onto paper in a clear, comprehensive way. So I understand that. So, when I wanted to wrap this up with the two areas of proofreading and of editing essays. And actually that word, and I'm scrolling over here because I'm like looking at myself on Facebook, and someone has shared this already. That's so nice. So please say hello if you're watching. So listen up. There are two major areas, and of course these can be broken down into like 25 steps each regarding proofreading and editing. And a lot of parents say like, oh, Amy, I can help my son or help my daughter proofread. So that's fabulous. That's actually what I don't even love to do. I mean, I think a lot of it comes naturally after being an English teacher, but the comma, the semicolon, grammar, and punctuation. But here's what has to come first, especially for, I think, freshmen and sophomores. It's proofreading for content, for specificity. Is your son or daughter able, this is the hardest thing, to write a specific arguable thesis statement? So I would say to my freshmen when I was teaching at New Trier High School, I would say, okay, guys, guess what? Gone are the days of writing a book report, right? These are my three main points that are just, perfectly in sync and no one would agree or disagree with. And even through, junior year, that junior theme, so many really smart, motivated students struggle, which is totally normal to come up with that clear, specific thesis statement. So when you're reviewing your essays, everyone, it's the grammar, it's the punctuation mechanics, and I'm not mitigating that. It's very important. But I think at this point, especially at this point in the year, what we really have to push for is fostering that critical thinking, the development of ideas. And so that, to me, that is really what total writing enrichment. I have three wonderful tutors that are helping me now, working for me now. They have been for a while. They're fabulous. That's really what we're looking at. And how do we do that? Well, it really, our method is really how I would lead an English class discussion. That's a whole nother topic as to why students are not having English class discussions. But what you can do, parents, is, if your son or daughter will allow this, of course, and if you have the time, is to question like, oh, okay, how could your attention grabber, really capture my attention better? Here are some ideas. Or how could you better explain that quote and relate it back to the thesis, right? Like how could you, or how could you provide more details or examples? So those are some high level tips. And I think that this is perfect timing after Thanksgiving break. I love talking all things high school English education. And I know so many great students out there for many different reasons and they're feeling it now. Now is the time when a lot of it hits after parent teacher conferences, are feeling this gap between like, gosh, it was so much easier to get an A, especially if we have freshmen. I heard that all the time teaching freshmen, or maybe now they stepped into sophomore year, or now they're juniors in, especially in AP Lang, and they really have to step up a notch. They know that, but they don't know how. And I don't know if you're like me, that can be really frustrating, especially if you have the drive, you have the motivation, you're willing to put in the extra work, but you just don't know how to do it. So I'm going to, after this Facebook Live, type up in the comments here my notes. And I do hope that some of you parents will share this with your high school sons, daughters, grandkids, and a lot of these tips are absolutely relevant to college writing also. So if you would like to ask me a question, please do that. What we're doing now is enrolling kids for the second semester for the ACE Year Essays Writing Tutoring Club, and that is pretty much one-on-one writing help, which includes understanding literature, mapping out essays, really having this be student skill focused. And of course, if you're a parent watching this who is a junior, we are starting enrollment for 2024 college admissions essays. So never before have we had parents sign up and register their students. And if you're a returning parent, we have a wonderful special going on for you. So please reach out. If you have my email, it's amy@totalwritingenrichment.com. You can always message me here on Facebook. And I know this is being streamed to LinkedIn, which I'm trying to frequent more often. I think it's a little bit boring. And YouTube, my YouTube channel. So thank you so much. If you are listening, if you're watching this on the replay, post a comment, #replay. It's interesting for me to see who watches this on the replay. I hope you have a wonderful rest of your Monday. And if you're watching this, why not take 5 minutes right now and really picture something that you want. You want, parent, whether it's for you or your kids, and get everything out of your brain and write it down. Write out all the steps you have to take to get there and all the feelings you're having. And I guarantee you, you'll walk away feeling lighter, with more energy, and with a clear vision to go forward in the direction of your dreams. Thanks so much. See you next week. Bye.